tended to be in the 80s when the big arena rock thing was at its height. And stage sets were like movie sets.
During the arena days, you know, you can be pissed on your ass, you know, and still fake it because there's just big sound, big lights, big songs, big excitement, big people.
It's the same old situation.
I always felt it's better to look good than to sound good or play good. I mean, if you have to sacrifice a little of music quality or vocal quality for the performance, so be it. They could always go and listen to the record.
It's very difficult to actually separate the idea of musicianship from the idea of showmanship. In many respects, particularly heavy metal, which obviously is very much kind of a performance art, the two are absolutely intertwined. The music derives meaning from the movements of the musicians. It becomes more powerful.
At the end of the day, when we come off stage, that whole audience has got to feel that it was a really great thing that they witnessed, enjoyed, and it was worth every penny of their ticket.
Definitely the successful bands in heavy metal, hard rock, there is a special relationship with the audience.
There are people that show up because it's more of an event, it's a release, it's a gathering, it's something of that sort, you know. But they're not there to drop acid, they're there to, you know, get something out, you know.
Bond when you're doing the gig. I mean, I've always considered the audience the sixth member of Overkill. It's just that simple. It doesn't happen without them.
Without them, we aren't. Without us, they will always be.
It is all about the fans at the end of the day as well, you know. We create the music, but unless it's taken in and you build this incredibly unique relationship, you know, you can't really advance because we feed on the energy that the fans give us. They give us the reason to go in and make another record and make another world tour. So we're constantly thinking about the loyalty that the fans have given us.
I mean, there's nothing that's inconveniencing me when it comes down to walking to my bus and I see somebody that needs something signed, you know, stop.
I think the relationship between bands and their fans in the metal genre is stronger than probably most other music genres because the fans mean so much, because there are so few outlets for metal music, because if you're not in one of a couple of magazines or a few radio shows or TV shows, then you're nowhere. So if the fans have actually bothered to go out and discover your music and pay for your gig ticket and buy your album, then I guess the metal the band members feel more indebted to those fans.
Fans live for this band. They live for this band, they worship this band. There's a particular moment in a day, in a week, whatever, when you become like an extended part of their family to some extent.
Most of the metal kids in school are kind of the funny little outsiders. But gigs are those places where suddenly you're not, you're totally understood, everybody feels the same way as you.
It's very difficult being a teenager, there's lots of pressures, you know, across the board and growing up, and I think that metal is a safe outlet for these kids to like escape crime and, you know, things that society frowns upon. It's a very safe outlet.
I mean, it depends on the fan. There's some of the fans are really emotionally tied to the band, which gives the band gives them hope. They're going through some problems at home or some personal hell they're going through, whatever it be, and they hear what I'm going through and they can relate, and it gives them some kind of, you know, hope, and they can vent, and they really get emotionally attached to the band. Then there's the fans that are in it because they love the sound of the band, and then there's the ones that just love it because it's just fun, you know, go to corn shows and get moshed, you know, beat the shit out of each other. And I mean, there's all different kinds of fans. All our fans have been loyal and totally militant, totally loyal fans to us.
There's no question about the loyalty of a metal fan. And from a business perspective, obviously, we love that. It's a niche market that we know how to tap into. And we know that that's a collectible fan base, that they'll still buy CDs or they'll still buy, you know, the records, and they'll go to the shows and they'll buy the shirts.
They follow them. They'll go to more than one show. You know, they've got every single record or every single T-shirt. And they're very strong for all those bands.
Without them, I'm not talking to you here. You know, I'm laying bricks someplace, which would give me great joy, by the way.
What you want when you're playing live is people just going nuts, and they catch on to a beat, and it goes long enough for them to build up, and everyone starts going nuts, and then that's when we get the appreciation that we're like hoping for.
If the audience is alive, you've got a rock and roll show. If the audience is switched off, it's, no matter what's going on stage, it's just a waste of time.
The main reason why I do what I do is just that fix. It's like a drug. That's why people go see concerts as an escape, I guess you would say. You don't deal with the bullshit that goes on in your life. You go there, you have a good time, you get your aggressions out.
It's almost like a tribal thing. You know, it's the meeting of the clans when you know, like a Motorhead gig. You always, every fucker, you know, comes out, and it's a special event.
People leave having experienced having been in the congregation and a part of something that was transcendent, and that's what makes heavy metal more than pop music, and that's really why it survives. People have these strong memories about that show they were at a certain time.
We got no choice. All the girls and boys making all that noise, 'cause they found new toys.
Starts where you rebel against your parents at a young teenage age and start to reevaluate the world for yourself, and you cling to your bosom the sounds of heavy, doom-laden, morbid music because you are an angst teenager in your bedroom and the whole world is against you.
I think people who aren't into it don't get it, and I think people who are into it love it even more because of that. I don't know what it is in the human nature that makes you feel better about yourself because you know something others don't. But I think that's definitely a part of it.
They gain an awful lot of self-esteem from being in this cultural elite, if you like, as they would argue it is. And arguably it is. You know, it's a way of telling the world that, you know, we're better than you because we understand this music and we can properly interpret it. We don't see it as, you know, silly old men running around in ludicrous black clothes. We think this is something that's really quite artistic.
That's how it started for me anyway. That's what metal is to me. It's angst, morbid nihilism.
I think it takes a certain personality and you know, a sense of adventure and you know, individuality to be into metal, and I think maybe that's why, you know, there is such a community.
Well, I think this whole genre, metal, is also it gives certain alienated kids a sense of family.
A lot of people have argued that heavy metal fans tend to come from fairly disadvantaged backgrounds. For example, there's far higher levels of marital discord in the home of young heavy metal fans. So these people are in some respects very vulnerable people in the community as a whole. But the heavy metal, rather than actually being a problem, which of course some protest groups have claimed it is, actually it serves an extremely positive function for them.
Korn represents the kids. To most of them is, I was that kid that was picked on. I was that guy that always was like made fun of at school, and that I'm not alone. And there's those kids, and those kids consoling me, and through being Korn fans, they all, you know, networked and do their thing, and they feel some kind of vindication or power just from being a Korn fan.
It is sort of music for outsiders. I think it's music that sort of defines itself against the norm rather than wanting to be part of the norm. Even when it becomes totally mainstream music, you know, I mean, Metallica could be the biggest band on the planet, but their fans still think of themselves